Disclaimer. This broadcast is for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are just that, opinions. Anything you say can and will be used for educational purposes only. Free speech under the First Amendment is welcomed here and should not be censored. That being said, let's get into some higher minds. Hello.
Hello, Josh.
How's it going?
I'm excited.
I am too. As we all know here, special guest tonight is Mr. Super Sidewinder. We're going to be talking about some music and some stuff, so I'll be really interested because I'm not very musically inclined myself. So I'll be learning some stuff. So thanks for being here.
Well, I'm glad to be here. So that intro, it says by Mr. Super Sidewinder. Actually, that was a collaboration between me and Ray on rhythm guitar, and Joe King wrote the lyrics. And of course, I did the vocals, putting his lyrics to the song. And we were going to launch a show called Higher Minds some years ago, and the intro went on the back burner, and we didn't end up launching the show. And I'm just so glad that you were able to use what we did to lay the foundation for that. So thank you for that, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. That song is awesome. And if you want to send me the guys' names, I'll update that to give them the credit too. Since it was a collaboration, I'll be happy to do that.
Sure. And Joe is one of the people I would like to see come on as a guest. I've already sent him a text and invited him here and told him that I would like to see him come on this show as a guest sometime. And I guess it's worth noting, I told you this and might seem a little strange or whatever, but this is the first time I was nervous about doing a show because every topic I could think of is so taboo. We're so limited about what we can really talk about on YouTube, and music is a passion of mine that I really would like to share with the world, whether that's them listening to my music or, better yet, making music. So I'm ready to get started. What do you think?
Mm. Well, that's awesome. That's the whole idea of the show is to, let the guests come on and talk about what they're passionate about. And so I'm glad you picked something because I can tell just from, watching your channel the last couple of months that you are passionate about your music. So you picked a good topic. Um, so let's do a quick shout out real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started, and you'll have the floor.
Sure,
So it looks like
sure.
first in we got Four Jacks, then we got Rye Russ Reel, uh, PJ's Angling for Truth, of course Mr. Super Sidewinder, uh, Lugnut Lori, DeWitt Straight Laces, Pushing Button 62, Sandy Diva Mandela Effects, Chicago Cubby Bear, Pushing Button, no, they say Pushing Buttons already, yeah. Rebecca 345, Real or Not for Real,
Nice.
that's me. And got Lori DeWitt. Looks like we got everybody. Anybody else that's here that hasn't said hello, say hi in the chat, and we'll do one at the end and say hi. And but thanks for everybody for being here. Appreciate it, the support. I like doing this. So, what do you got
I
for us,
left
Mr. Super?
I left a comment in the public chat too, telling people I will not be in the chat during this stream because I've just got too much juggling going on and I can't even see the chat right now. So if you have any questions for me that come up during the show, I don't want them to go ignored. So put them in all caps, and Josh will watch for those questions to come up and forward them to me so that we can move through them quickly. So I don't want anybody to
Yes,
feel
I will.
left out. I want people to interact. They're bound to have some questions come up, and I don't want them to go unanswered. So that said, music. When I talk to people that don't play instruments, they tend to tell me they don't know anything about music, and I just generally don't think that that's true. There's like one element that might make that true, and that is if you're tone deaf. If you can't tell when two notes sound really terrible together, or if you can't tell that something sounds out of place when you hear a piece of music or whatever, then maybe you can't discern music well enough to play music. Let's just be honest about it. But if you can tell when a piece of music sounds good, and you can do some basics like counting to 16 and remembering a subset of the alphabet, the letters A through G, you probably have enough foundation to play some sort of musical instrument. And the point of entry for musical instruments has really come down in even just the last few years. There are many professional grade instruments that are less than $100, and even more if you're willing to go up into the $200 price range. It opens up a vast world of instruments that we could all play. There's something to playing music that lifts the soul, and the music as a topic, the theory behind music is such a deep thing that it is something that you could spend a lifetime on, never master, and always have something to entertain your mind. So if you have a busy mind and you want something to fill that space, or if there are entities here that steer your mind when it's not busy, music is a very good filler for that. It's a very good vent. Some of us can hear music well, but we can't really sing it well. That's carrying a tune, and it's different than perceiving music, making music. I think the most beautiful music that I've ever heard comes from the human voice, like a choir that just moves my soul. It makes the hair stand up on my arms, and it's the foundation for the development of many musical instruments is that beautiful sound of the human voice. So if you can sing, that's the next level, right? If you can understand music
Yeah.
and you can sing, you're already a musician. And if you can play an instrument, one of these inexpensive ones that I hope to run through tonight, so much the better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do? What do you do if you can hear music and hear what sounds good, but you can't sing?
That's when you go into these
You know what I mean?
inexpensive instruments. That becomes the vent or the vehicle. So if you can recognize tones and you can build on that foundation, you know it sounds good and sounds bad. That's basically the core of it, the root of it, right? But you can't sing, then
Hmm.
you play instruments, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
just
if you
have never
don't
been
want to
able to
play, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say, I just always find it amazing, with musicians when they can, um, you can just like strum a guitar or whatever, and you can tell me what that note is just from listening to it, A minor or, C major, something like that. Like that's just always been amazing to me, but I don't have that ability. Mm.
There are very, very few. It's like 1% of the population, so small a number, that have what's called perfect pitch. That they can hear any musical note like played on a piano, and they can tell you what that note is. They can pick out all the notes in a chord. If you play a 3 or 4 note chord, they can tell you what all the notes were and what that builds as a chord. That's called perfect pitch, and it is, like I said, very rare, like 1% of the population. So it's not something where people are born musicians or not. That's not true, or we wouldn't really have any musicians in the world. The next
Yeah.
level up from that for pitch recognition is if you can hear a reference tone and then identify a pitch in relation to that tone. That's ear training, and it's a completely different thing from perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is like a supernatural automatic recognition of any note, whereas ear training is just training your ears to listen for intervals, but you need a reference tone to build that on. Now, when I say a reference tone, you either need to hear or be able to sing or reproduce a very stable note as a basis that you can judge other notes on or against in your head or out loud. And so that's a
Yeah.
thing that you can train yourself for. Everybody can.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
the
But if you can't sing, you have no. Can you train your voice if you have a terrible voice? You know if you work hard
well,
at it
there's there's
enough
there
to.
is there is such a thing as people who can't carry a tune if they hit a bucket, right? I mean, let's be honest. There are some people that you're never going
Yeah.
to save their singing voice, and that just isn't going to be their forte. We all have different gifts. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, if you find that you can't get your voice to be pleasant to you or to others, of course, then maybe you should consider what we're going to go over tonight, some inexpensive musical instruments as a way to express yourself musically. We can't all sing,
Sounds
is
good
the
to me.
bottom
Yeah.
line, right? And we can't
Yeah.
all recognize the notes. So at the very foundation, again, if you can't tell when two notes sound good or bad together, or if a chord sounds pleasant or something sounds really out of place, uh, because you need that discernment whether you're singing or playing an instrument. So if your ears work and you can decode whether something sounds good or not, then you've already got a foundation to either sing or play instruments. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Hmm.
So with all
Yeah.
of
Well, I
that
love music,
said,
so yeah.
I truly believe, and I've demonstrated it now several times, that it is actually easier to learn more than one instrument at any given time. So if you don't play an instrument, this might sound really weird, but it would be easier for you to learn 2 or 3 instruments in a given time period. Say you gave yourself 6 months and you wanted to kind of reevaluate what instruments you wanted to go forward with. So we're talking about inexpensive instruments. So if you spent $25 each on 3 instruments, you'd have 3 instruments. And in 6 months, you'd know if you wanted to continue with all three or just two of them. But the point is, the disciplines that it takes to learn an instrument are the same no matter the instrument, right? So if you learn how to learn to play an instrument, then you can learn how to play many instruments. And different instruments take different body parts, skills, muscles, and they create different stresses in our body. So I would never tell somebody play guitar and play it for 30 minutes a day, for 6 months and see if you like it. That you're not going to do it. Like, it's going to be painful. There's going to be days where you completely don't do it because you overdid it the previous days. There's going to be an awful lot of
Yep.
downtime. And if you're driving down the road and you want noodle around because you've got some time to kill in a traffic jam, you're probably not going to be able to pull out your guitar and do that in the car. But if you have a harmonica in your pocket or a little mini flute or something like that, maybe you could. Maybe you could. I'm just saying, right? So you have to make that stuff accessible to yourself so that you can play a wind instrument. And if you get tired of doing all that deep breathing and the fingers involved in doing that, go to your piano or your little keyboard or your melodica or whatever. So you've got different body parts that you're working. One of the nice things is, like, when you're working out a particular song or whatever, it might be really difficult for you on ukulele, but you might be able to walk over to a keyboard and kind of get some of the theory parts or work out the difficult passage or whatever it does on the keyboard. And they translate back and forth so well that I truly believe that you could spend 6 months on one instrument, giving it so much time per day, whether that's 5 minutes or 30 minutes per day or whatever it was. And if you had 2 more instruments in that roundup, no more additional time, still spending the 10 minutes or whatever it is, right? But spreading it across several instruments, I truly believe that at the end of that 6 months, you're going to be able to play all 3 or 8 of those instruments. So what would you rather have in 6 months? Would you rather have the ability to play one instrument well, or 6? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
So I do recommend it. Everybody should play some form of instrument, and a couple of the instruments that I'm going to show tonight are like perfect coffee table instruments. So they're not things that people breathe on. They're not things that are so expensive you'd get nervous if somebody, like a child or a neighbor, picked it up or whatever. So these are accessible to anyone that comes over. Yeah, feel free to play any of the instruments you see here on the coffee table, and you might have 3 or 4 of them. And it's a way to spread that joy to others that normally wouldn't play, because now they have 0 investment and they get a chance to play one there, and they might just pick one up and gravitate toward it and say, wow, where did you get this? I'd really like to have this, but it looks expensive. No, that's only $25. You should have one. And it's the way to spread that joy. And that's kind of what this whole stream is. I'm going to try to share just a little bit of music theory, enough to show you that you do already know some things about music, and I'm going to show you instruments that would be perfect to leave on the coffee table and let everybody play. So with that, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready.
So
I've
there
been
are
ready since Thursday night when you told me the
right?
topic.
There are 2 like decoder rings that really help you understand musical theory, and one of them is probably the only scale that they really taught you in school if you didn't go to band and officially play an instrument at any time in your life. And that is the do re mi scale. Do re mi fa sol la ti do. That is the major scale. You could start it on any note. It will always sound the same, because it's the spacing between the notes, as I'll show you in a minute, that determine that pattern, right? But the nice thing is, even though that's the only scale that they really taught you, that is the master decoder scale for what we're talking about tonight, which is Western music theory. To be clear, there are different music systems. We are talking about Western music theory, which is the most widely used. And even though it's called Western music theory, it is used around the world. But there are places like Japan that divide the 12 notes in the scale into more divisions. So they have like quarter note spacing between notes and more notes available within an octave. So what we're talking about here is Western music theory. So that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale that I just like hummed or sang off or whatever is the base decoder ring for everything. So you can start on any note and figure out what that major scale is, and you can derive any other scale from that, like the minor scales or the different modes or any of the complicated theory stuff. It's all rooted in that major scale. And so I'm going to show a keyboard here on the screen just to show you like why people are intimidated by music, I think, is because when you look at something like this, it just looks like a sea of keys. And for most of us, when we don't play music, we look at it and we go, this whole thing would be easier without all these stupid black keys if they were all just white keys. But if I covered up the black
Yeah.
keys and all you could see is white keys, you'd realize very quickly you're lost in a sea of white keys. There are no reference points to find your way. So the black keys show you what notes you're on, right? Without them, you would be quite
Okay.
lost.
Yeah. You want to hold it up a little higher? We can't see it. Are you showing it now? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I cover up these black keys and all you can see is the white keys, you see kind of how you're lost already. Like you can't tell any key from any key, right? And then if I take and I cover up, and if I cover it the other way so that you can see, you can't see the big paddles on the bottom, just this. You'll notice something if you look close. All of these keys, when the big paddles are covered up, are exactly the same distance apart. In other words, the black key and the white key are the same width all the way, and every step between them is called a half step. So if I go from this white note to this black note, that's a half step. If I go 2 half steps, that's a full step. And so when you look at it this way, you realize that spacing, it looks like there's different spacing going on here when you're looking at the full keyboard. But like I said, if you cover up the white paddles and you look at them each as equal distance apart, they're all the same width and they're all the same distance apart, kind of levels the playing field a little bit. So the next step in this is, we talked about the major scale already, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And most people are familiar with the term middle C, and just to be clear, middle C does not mean the centermost key on, or the centermost C key on your keyboard. So this is a 37 key melodica, but the C note, C4 or middle C, is actually way down here toward this end. So these octaves are numbered. If we look at these, you look at it like this. This is an octave because this is a C note and this is a C note. So this one vibrates at twice the frequency of this one. They're both C notes. The difference is how fast the vibration is. So I'll play those for you. And I'll play them together. That's playing an octave, right? In this space, so this is C4. That's, if you looked at a big full-size piano keyboard, this is the 4th C that you would come to. And this whole octave from here to B, just before the C, is the 4th octave, and then the 5th octave, and then the 6th, and so on. So this is the 4th octave that we're talking about, so that makes this middle C. Keyboards are set up such a way that they're a key of C instrument. Key of C is kind of like the central key in music. It's the one that doesn't have any sharps or flats. So if I just play the white notes here, I'm playing in the scale of C major, from C to C. And I'll do that for you. That's the do, re, mi scale that I told you is the decoder, right?
Right.
So that's your major scale in the key of C. No sharps or no flats. And if you look, there's like a black key between. I gotta hold this up where you can see it. There's a black key between the white keys in almost every case except for 2. There's 2 white keys together that don't have a black key in between them. That's an E and an F. And there's 2 notes here that don't have a black key in between them. That's B, C. Lots of things in music. We have little mnemonics that help us remember. So this is bacon crispy. B and C don't have a black space or black key in between. And E and F, eggs fried, don't have a black key in between them. So bacon crispy.
Yeah,
eggs fried.
I remember Every Good Boy Does Fine.
Right.
And
So
then
that's
face, I think,
for,
was the other one, maybe for the black keys.
yep,
Yeah.
face for the space. So we're talking about when you're looking at sheet music. That's how that breaks down. Yep.
All right.
So uh, modes are something I just want to talk about just for a second because it's something that people that do play music try to put off in their learning process for far too long. So you really can't do that and understand like the whole of music theory. You won't really get a grasp on it until you understand modes. So I want to cover modes just really quickly. I'll gloss over it. You guys can ask questions in the chat or ask me later if you need more clarity or whatever. So modes are as simple as this. When I played that scale in C major, that is mode 1. That's the mother mode, as this is the mother scale. So that mode 1 is called Ionian. It's the major scale. But if I take this whole thing and move it up and go from the second note to the second note again, that's a different mode. That's the second mode. It's a minor mode called Dorian. And like I said, in school you were never taught how all these different things sound. So I'm going to play the Dorian scale for you and just let you hear what that sounds like. We're using the same notes that we used before, but because you start and end on a different note, it has a completely different flavor. So the next one, just to show you another mode, would be Phrygian, and this is kind of like Spanish guitar. Spanish style is mostly rooted in Phrygian. So this is what this sounds like. Ooh. All of these sound kind of foreign to you until you get used to them, and it's the reason why, like I said, you really don't want to put modes off till the end of your learning process and try to sort them out later. You should incorporate them as you learn musical instruments. So anyway, I'm showing you this instrument today. I'm doing the demonstrations on it because there's nothing better than a keyboard to understand musical theory. So even if you just have one on paper, or if you pick up an inexpensive used electronic keyboard or something, so you have a keyboard, I think it certainly opens up more possibilities probably than any other instrument, because you can play piano, you can play organ, you can get a MIDI keyboard hooked to your computer and make it sound like anything, from a chorus to a string section to all the other instruments that I'll show you. So really, like, if you're only going to learn one instrument, make it a keyboard. This is called the Melodica, and it's an air-driven keyboard, so I'm blowing in the end here and playing with the keys here at the same time. There's a strap on the back that your hand fits into to hold the instrument, and these are inexpensive. You can get these in or from many different manufacturers. I think they all come off the same production line. They look like they're exactly the same, with only like the identifying logo being different, and the price range is about $35–40. This particular one came with two of these mouthpieces, so this is removable, and some people like to play these without a mouthpiece at all, and it looks more kind of like a trumpet mouthpiece or whatever. I like this standard mouthpiece when I'm playing. But it also came with two hoses with different mouthpieces too, so that you can either hold it away from your mouth and play it while you can see the keyboard, which is probably a better way while you're learning. And mine came with two hoses, so you could share the keyboard between two people without using their mouthpiece, right? So it's a hygienic thing. And I also made a coupler to take my two hoses and couple them together, so I have a longer hose. So if I want to set it down on a table or my lap and have a longer hose, I can play with both hands and those sorts of things, you know.
Huh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever seen an air-driven keyboard like that before.
So with instruments like this is very much like an accordion or harmonica, in that there are metallic reeds that vibrate as you blow through them. And you can visualize like the lowest note would have the biggest reed. And the reed has a slot that it moves through, so the bigger reed has a bigger slot. Therefore, it takes more air. And the lower notes are slower to respond. So here's the lowest note on this one. And here's the highest note on this one. And so if you tried to play a very fast passage down here on the low end, it probably wouldn't work. Probably would fall apart. Like there isn't time for that note to build up to speed to drop back off. Whereas in the higher end, you couldn't play faster than they would respond.
Yeah, right.
That holds true in many instruments. Like the higher the pitch, generally the faster you can play them. So that comes into play too as you consider these things. So consider a melodica. It really opens up a lot of playing possibilities. It's an inexpensive instrument. You can share it between several people. It's not really what I would consider a coffee table instrument because you wouldn't want just anybody to come up and
grab it,
blow
yeah.
their breath through it, right?
Yeah. Well, just so that you know, you got everybody in the chat wanting bacon now, crispy bacon.
There you go,
So thanks for that.
bacon crispy and eggs fried. Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Next, I'd like to go and move into kalimba because I think this is the ideal coffee table instrument. Hold this up to where everybody can see it. I think that's pretty close, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So this is a 17-key kalimba. They range in price from about $35 to $65. This particular one was about $40 or $45, and it even has a pickup in the bottom so that you can plug it into an amplifier.
Oh, nice.
These are
That's
really
funny
cool.
because,
Go ahead.
sorry. My daughter, I don't know, about a year ago, she was like, "Oh, I found this cool little instrument on, I think it was Etsy or something," and she ordered it, and it was that exact instrument. And like I asked her tonight, I'm like, "Can I grab it?" 'Cause I figured if you're showing instruments like that, I always thought that was a cool one. But the first one she got was super tiny. Like it was like the size of a dollar bill, and so she ended up ordering another one about that size. But yeah, she loves it.
So they make them in all different sizes and configurations. Generally, the smaller ones have fewer tines. I've played kalimbas that have as few as 5 tines, and while they're fun to play, I really recommend starting with this right here, a 17-key kalimba, because it gives you more than 2 octaves so that you don't run out of notes. There's nothing more frustrating when you're learning a song, especially when you're new to music and you just run out of notes, like you need 1 note higher or 1 note lower to finish the song. That it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't really consider something to be a musical instrument unless it can play at minimum 1 octave of notes, and generally that is really not enough to finish most songs either. So like I consider them to be legitimate instruments, but really you have to kind of get into 2 octaves to have little room to play, little wiggle room. So I want to get this in the screen where everybody can see it. You're going to have to help me, Josh. Can you see it there,
Right.
or how can I move it?
Yeah, it looks good. Maybe up a little bit.
Like
But
this way?
otherwise, other than that, yeah, it looks. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so these are also known as thumb pianos, and there's varieties out there called sansolas that have like a drum skin that helps amplify it. These can be played into a big gourd, like picture a hollowed out half of a pumpkin or whatever, and it echoes that sound back at you. It almost makes it sound like it's in a little mini amphitheater. These are on a sound box with holes in the back that you can cover with your fingers or not, which is kind of a technique to get a little vibrato sound, which can also, if you keep those closed, you can also get that at the thumb hole by partially covering the thumb hole. You can kind of you can shape the sound a little bit. But anyway, In addition to being called kalimbas, these are often referred to as thumb pianos. Is that still on the screen, Josh?
It got low again.
I don't know. I have no idea where to hold it. So try to help me
Right
so
there,
people can see
right there.
this.
A little bit higher.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit higher.
Is
Yeah,
this
and
way?
you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
So
The whole
these
thing's
are
in it now,
played
yeah.
with your thumbnails. If you don't have thumbnails, there are some like little things like Alaska picks that fit over your thumb that provide you with a thumbnail to play. But you really kind of need at least a small thumbnail to control those, right? So you don't need big claws. Like I let my nails grow out to be kalimba nails. So if
Hmm.
you have longer nails, it helps to play this. But these are really cool. So they're thumb pianos. They're played with your thumbs for the most part. Each thumb is assigned to a side, although there will be times where you'll have some crossover where you need two notes to be played quickly together or whatever, where you'll have two thumbs on one side. But for the most part, each thumb gets a side, and this center note gets assigned to one side. So this is assigned to the right hand side, not the left hand side. And they play in alternating patterns. So that major scale that we talked about is here. The two octaves that we talk about, or that I just talked about, is if I keep going. So I go, and I could start over again there. There's the two octaves, and I got two extra notes on top of it. That's the 17, right? So most of
Hmm.
these instruments, there's 12 notes in each of those octaves that we described. So like the keyboard, like the melodica that I showed you, would be a multiple of 12 plus 1. So that's a 37 key, so that's 3 octaves, 36. 12 times 3 plus 1, 37. The plus 1 is to finish off the last octave with the repeating note. And the same thing happens here, but on top of all of that, you've got the two bonus notes at the top. And so the same thing, and this is probably one of the best instruments that when I'm really teaching somebody about modes, this is the instrument I want them to learn it on. So if I took that same scale, and I'll play it again. But I started on the second note, so I go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. That's the Dorian scale that I showed you on the melodic keyboard, and it puts it in a way that's kind of more consumable because there's no notes that you can hit that will be out of the scale. You could hit them out of sequence, but they're all in the scale. So this is mode 1, major mode. This is mode 2, Dorian, just going 2 to 2. The third mode is Phrygian, as we talked about on the melodica. The last person that I really went like into a deep dive teaching musical instrument learned to play 8 instruments in a little over 2 months' time. And I'm not talking about like just basically starting to play. No, I'm talking about this person could play entire songs, understood modes, and was quite fluent in that period of time. So, I mean, what I'm talking about here tonight is not just something that I think I could teach. This is something that I've proven that can be taught this way very quickly. So, kalimbas,
Yeah.
consider kalimbas in the low price range. So this is the most common kalimba on the market. You can find them. The market is flooded with them on both eBay and Amazon. This particular one is acacia wood, which is really nice, but this particular one dried out and it cracked. It's been repaired since, but the acacia wood kind of dried out. So beware when you buy exotic woods like that, that sometimes they end up with issues like this right here. So don't try to buy the most expensive. Buy something that you can lay on your coffee table. Share these. So I have another kalimba to show you before we move on to other instruments. I absolutely love this one. So what's the difference, you might ask? This is a 15 key kalimba, and I want to have this centered in the screen, so help me out again, Josh. Up, down.
All right. Yeah, your green screen is kind of messing up. Everything's looking
Let me just tilt this back.
outdoor foggy.
Should I turn the? Oh, let me turn the green screen off.
Yeah, it was just getting all like choppy and broken up. We couldn't see anything at the end. But yeah, that kalimba is awesome sounding. Like, I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, it reminds me of like tropical beach music or something. But
Yeah, they are
yeah, I love
very,
that. It
very
sounds
pleasant,
great.
and I didn't show you a technique that I will show you on this one, but I kind of want everybody to see this one. I'll hold that other one up again in case people didn't get a good look at it. So this one is it's so hard to figure out which way to go to show it.
Yeah, right. The reverse camera.
So this one is a 15 tine or key, right? There are 15 of these instead of 17. It's not on a hollow box with holes in it. This one's on a solid piece of wood. Interestingly enough, this is camphor wood, which I had never heard of before. So I really, really like. Everything about this kalimba I like. So unfortunately, while I'm showing you this one, these are extremely hard to get. This was made by Gecko, and they stopped production on it. And the only other ones that I can find are made by, or they use the name Hugh Tracy, and for some reason they've driven the price on these way up. But at the time I got this, it was about $40, $45, something like that, so it did fit in this inexpensive category. And why do I like this one? Well, because you have two less tines, and the tines are actually wider on this one, making it somewhat easier to play. And I don't know if you guys can see this or not.
A little higher.
I don't know which way to go.
There you go.
Okay.
Right there. Yeah.
So I didn't really kind of show you like chords and stuff, but you can play like harp type chords, right? And you can play them both up and down. So this is an alto kalimba. It's 15 tines. It's a G kalimba rather than C. The other one was in the key of C. Lower pitch. The upper notes ring clear, where on the 17s, sometimes the upper two notes just don't ring out very much because they're so high pitched and they're such small tines, they just don't vibrate long enough to really sound clearly. They almost sound more like bells than like carried out notes, right?
Yeah.
But this one, every key sound, or every tine sounds so warm. I'm going to play this one for just a moment here. Very easy instrument to learn. And I have something to share with the world that really I was supposed to do a video on this when I came up with this system. This is a game changer. So in the past, if people wanted to play these in different keys to play along with other musicians, or to play with original recordings, or other work that they wanted to do with them, they would end up buying multiples of these and hard tuning them to different keys. I've come up with a system of magnetic tuning that allows me to play in like 6 or 7 different keys on these things. So if you look, I don't know if this shows on the screen or not, but every tine has a set of marks on it. Some of them have a solid bar all the way across them, and others have like two little reference lines. So I've got a solid line here and a solid line here. What that tells me is to play in the natural key of this instrument. To play this in G, there needs to be 2 magnets in place where these bars are at. So if you see on the tails of all of these, they all have a little magnet. These are little 5 millimeter by 1 millimeter magnets. And what they do is they add a little bit of weight to each of the tines and takes the pitch down a half a step, which means that you can flatten any of these notes. And so if I want to play in a different key, I might add 2 magnets and change the key down 1 more step as I go. And you can even do half tunings where half of the kalimba or the first octave is standard and the second one is tuned for the next key, as it were. So there's a lot of flexibility with placing these magnets and using them or not.
So
Go ahead.
so the magnets are up on the top, and you
The
can just
magnets
take, you
are
can just pick it up.
stored. The magnets are stored on the tails of them
Ah,
up above this bridge, and so they have no effect on the playing. It's just where they're stored. If I want
I
them to
gotcha.
come into play, I take them off of here. I place them underneath, and I line them up with the little tick markers that you see. And those have been
Huh.
checked with a tuner. So that's with a magnet. Put the magnet away. You might notice that's a little
Oh
bit
yeah.
higher in frequency. And so I can do that. Every single tine on here has a magnet and can be altered and has its little tick markers or whatever. So it opens up a realm of possibilities without having to have a whole bunch of these laying around. So that
Yeah,
is
no
a
doubt.
first. Like nobody else in the world has shown magnetic tuning on kalimba. So this is a first. Woohoo! Right here on your stream.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's one of the coolest little instruments that I've seen. Uh,
So I should leave the virtual background off. I'm assuming everything looks a little bit better. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not breaking up
it
as
cleared up
bad.
a little bit. I mean, no, huh? I mean, you can always try the green screen again at some point, but for some reason, when you were showing that last kalimba, it was just not working.
So the next section that I
Ah,
huh? You all
sorry,
right?
I hit the wrong button. Yeah, yeah, we're back. I'm still learning. This is only my second stream, so
I
people got
hear
to
you.
be
I hear
patient
you.
with me a little bit. All right. So the next thing you were
The
wanting to
next
show.
thing is ocarinas. There we go. I guess that's yeah. There we go. So this style right here is called a seed pod. They're generally in four holes, as you see. Let's see if I got this the right way forward. There's usually four holes in the front, and there may be up to two in the back. So they're 4 hole, 5 hole, or 6 hole, depending on whether you know how many holes there are in the
Yeah.
back of these things.
Can you go a
But
little higher?
overall, yeah,
Hold it up a little higher. There you
yeah,
go.
overall the style is called a seed pod.
Huh.
This style is called the sweet potato style, and these are generally 12 holes. And so the way that these work is you cover each hole with a finger and you lift them off
All
in
right.
order as you go up through a scale. There are also holes on the back that your thumbs are working. And then there are some little
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
amazing.
half holes. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then the two on the back that I showed you, the thumb holes. So that's 8, 9, 10, and then these two extra additional holes allow for uh, playing sharps and flats and those sorts of things. So that's why they're called a 12 hole, and it's kind of shaped like overall a sweet potato. So a sweet potato ocarina. This particular one I'm showing is a Bravia. What do they call it? Well, all I can think of is the manufacturer Bravia. This is a plastic one, which is really nice because you can kind of beat on it, drop it, share it, wash it in the sink, fill it full of soapy water, and you're good for the next person. When you go up the next
Nice.
step from this, you end up in ceramics, and they're more personal. Like you don't want somebody to drop them, and you really don't want other people breathing on them, and those sorts of things. So I'm going to show you one that's
Yeah.
exactly identical to this in form and function, but it's higher quality. It's ceramic. And let's see, where did I put that? Here we go. This one is amazing because it's a beautiful professional grade instrument that's priced around $40 with a little soft case for it. Hold that up.
Oh, wow, yeah,
This
that
is
looks
soft,
nice.
soft case that it comes in. It's padded. This is made by Ocarina Wind, and it's called the Forest Whisperer. And it's straw fired, so they wrap it in damp straw and throw it in a campfire, and it takes on like a streaky texture and a smoky smell, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. But this is ceramic, and generally ceramic ocarinas start in the hundreds of dollars. So these are not all inexpensive. If you go looking for ceramic ocarinas, you'll tell me I'm wrong about being an inexpensive instrument. But this particular one, Ocarina Wind, Forest Whisperer, $40 all day long, and it's exactly like that plastic blue one that I showed you. Around the same, they're around the same price, and this
Yeah.
plays as nicely as any of those multi-$100 instruments. And I will say, any instrument that has a lanyard or a strap on it like this, there's a reason for it. Like, these things will jump out of your hands when you're learning how to play. So use the lanyard, and if you're playing somebody else's instrument, definitely use it because it's not your instrument, right? So you either
Yeah,
put it around
right.
your wrist or put it around your neck, so if something happens and it drops, it doesn't go all the way to the floor. And I don't know if I played that other one for you, but I'll play this one for you a little bit. There's that familiar major scale we've already talked about, right?
Yep.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And of course, you could play in the modes on this one too. So there again, if we wanted to hear this in Dorian. These modes carry over to every type of instrument. So again, it's really important to learn modes and that sort of thing. So coffee table instrument, personal instrument, but they're identical in form, function. You guys have no idea, like
Yeah.
holding things up to show them, like how hard it is to figure out where it is in the center of the screen and where you can get a good look at something.
Yeah, it's probably easier if you can go into your camera settings and hit reverse screen or whatever, so that way when you move it left, it goes left on the screen. So it's way easier to line up.
Yeah, but then I get into stuff where, like, if you're right-handed and you're watching somebody play a stringed instrument and they're left-handed, like it's a brain tweak.
Yeah,
Right?
I
So
can see
I
that.
don't want to have my camera reversed, and I can't see very well. So, like, trying to figure out where I'm at in the reference frame is a trick. So the little seed pod ocarinas, like, the smaller the instrument, the higher the pitch. It's been a while since I played this one, but you can tell it's much, much higher in pitch. And I got another one
Yeah.
that I wanted to show real quick just to show. So the ocarina that I showed you first, this is its little baby brother. Again, smaller instrument, higher pitched. This is also in C, but it's considered to be a soprano, where the other one's an alto. And I don't know if you can tell, like, how much smaller this is, but, like, holding it up to my hand, it's a much, much smaller instrument.
Yeah,
But it
yeah, it looks like it's
looks
about 2/3 the
identical,
size.
plays identical, and, like, there's just enough room for your fingers here, you know. And like I said, when you get into higher pitches, then things can be played really quickly. Just very responsive, because those notes can happen and fade very, very quickly. So again, coffee table style instrument, couple bucks, $20, $30, something like that. Just to wrap up the ocarina talk, unless somebody has any questions about ocarinas in particular.
Ocarina, I have to remember that one.
It means clay flute, because they were originally made from clays and purple clays. All right, so the next section is recorders. And while I'm showing a tenor recorder here that probably isn't like in the inexpensive musical instrument category, I suppose it is because you can get good plastic ones in the $100 to $200 range. But I'm really showing this one to show like the full range of ocarinas, or not ocarinas, um, recorders.
Recorders.
Trying to get them all together in one hand. It's like chasing cats or herding cats. So there are many different sizes of recorders. I've got 4 here, and I don't know again what you guys can see, or if you want me to show these one at a time or whatever, but just to give you kind of like a scale idea. These are all similar instruments. They're all recorders, and they're all different sizes. Again, the smaller ones have higher pitch. These alternate between keys as you go. So the smallest one here is in the key of F, the next one's up is in the key of C, and then the next one is in the key of F, and the last one is in the key of C again. So these are not all on the same key. There's 2 in each key,
Yeah.
2 Fs and 2 Cs. So yeah, help me move them out.
Yeah.
Which way?
Yeah, can you turn
This
them?
way?
Can you turn them sideways? Like, I'm just
I'll
like turn
hold
them
them-
horizontally.
I'll hold each one up in time, but at this point, if they can see all 4 of them, that's all I kind of want to do at this point.
Yeah, we can only see
I don't know
like
which way
the
I'm
very
going.
tip of the smallest one. You know what I mean? And then we can
Yeah,
see
I
the
don't
top
have
of the
enough
second
hands.
one,
I don't
and
have
then
enough
the other 2 are
coordination
cut
to
off.
like to move them all at the same time. So
Or is that turn them
I'm gonna
sideways?
break them
Yeah,
down and show
I
them
got
to
you.
you one at a time.
That's good.
So this big one is a tenor. Again, this one is in C, and it's big. It's quite large.
Yeah, it definitely looks big. Yeah.
So this is about the length of my arm. It's in the 32 to 36 inch range, or something fairly large. And again, being large, it's lower pitched. I bumped it bringing it over here tonight. Give me a second. I'm in an uncomfortable position, so I really can't play that one real well right now, but you can hear it's got a nice, warm, woody tone. The lowest note that it will play is the C note that we started with on the melodica, the C4, or the 4th octave C. And then the next one up in size is the alto, and this one's about the length of just my forearm from elbow to the tip of my finger, so in the 22 inch category, something like that. Let me hold this up. Let's see, which way are we going? Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it good. Yeah.
All of these basically play the same way, like they're functionally identical, but they give you different range, like the warmth of tone, and they all play basically the same number of notes, but they're moved apart by just enough to make the each size a useful thing or whatever. So this would be a major scale played in the key of F, because this instrument is in the key of F. So if I use the same fingering as I was using on the other instrument, this will be in the key of F. The next size down from this is the soprano, and I think I can probably get these both in screen so you can see kind of how they compare in size. If that's
yeah.
any help at all. Right? So this is roughly a little over a foot long, higher pitched again, smaller instrument. This would take us back to the key of C, but it would take us up an octave from where we started on the lower one, the tenor one. These are inexpensive. In fact, this one here is like the only size that they carry at local dealers, like Guitar Center has these. This is a professional grade, even though it's a plastic instrument. These are only about 20 bucks at Guitar Center. So like the
Oh, wow.
entry for these musical instruments is really quite reasonable. And I
Yeah, I
know a
think
lot of people
it
think
seems
that,
to me like a recorder would be a hard one to learn.
well, it's probably because they get a bad reputation because they're so inexpensive. They're used in schools to train people who never follow through and learn really how to play any musical instrument. So we hear them
Yeah.
as squeaky and unprofessional and whatever, but these can be quite sweet and sophisticated. These used to lead the way for many orchestras. They were the upfront instrument that kind of guided all the rest of them. So it's not like a background instrument. It's right up front in the focus of many old classical tunes and orchestral pieces. So this would take us up a little jump above what we just did there, starting in C. This one is back to an F, but it's another octave up from that alto. This one is called a Sopranino. And these all break down into three pieces, so this would literally fit in your shirt pocket when it's broken down into its three pieces. So portability, price,
Mm-hmm.
this is priced about the same as that other one, about 20 bucks or something like that. But it's a professional grade plastic instrument. The same thing that I told you before, the higher the notes, the faster you can play, so these really get fast. Well, as you develop your skills, these can play as fast as you can play.
Hmm.
But just kind of wanted to show you all the different sizes of recorders tonight. So the average price on recorders probably about $35. If you look all the way across the board of the four sizes that I showed you, you can get them as cheap as 20 bucks. But the average across the different sizes, 35 to 45, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
So most people
Like that.
know that.
That's.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, that's something that almost anybody can afford that wants to get into music and learn something. Yeah, that's very reasonable.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in the 25 to $45 range. A lot of really high quality, what I would consider to be professional instruments. And before we move on too much farther, we talked about ocarinas, and I neglected to show my absolute favorite ocarina. So this is an STL plastic, again, professional grade instrument. This one has so many holes it'll make your head spin. Like, how do you cover all those holes? We only have like a certain number of fingers. What this is a triple ocarina. So you're looking at three different instruments in one. There's a big instrument. The main, like the sweet potato shape here, is one instrument. There's a middle instrument, and then there's a higher instrument here. Each one can be played separately. So that extends the range of this one to a full 3 octaves.
Wow.
So when I'm doing
That looks
recordings
cool.
and stuff, I need more romping room. I need more octaves, more space to play, and that's why this is my favorite one. This is amazing. And as nice as these are, they're only like 75 bucks. So it's a little above that average $45 price range. But really, if you want a super nice, high quality instrument, no moving parts, no maintenance, you can wash it in the sink, take it in the shower with you.
Nice.
This is the one right here.
Making shower music, huh?
Sure. So that's an
Why not?
STL triple ocarina. When you start getting into like the ceramic triple ocarinas, they can go as high as $400 or $500 or higher. But when you get into the high quality plastic ones like this, sub $100 will get you into some of the best of them.
Hmm.
So the next step in the chain, if you don't mind, I'd like to take like just a 2 or 3 minute break, maybe have a cigarette, maybe play a song,
Yeah.
and then we'll come
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and we'll go
I was
into string.
just thinking the same thing.
We can
Yeah, here,
we
let
can
me,
go into stringed instruments when we come back. We'll look at ukuleles and go from there.
yeah, here, let me find your channel, and
I was going to say,
you
yeah,
got
you
a-
can
you
grab
got a
anything
particular
from my
song?
channel. If you want, I can drop things in the private chat, if that's any help, or you can just pick anything from my channel that you want to.
Yeah, well, the Black Magic Woman you put out a couple days ago, I like that one.
Yeah,
but that's only,
that's a cool one. Yeah. Why don't you
It's
do
only-
like
it's
two
only
songs?
3
Because I got to roll a cigarette and I need a couple minutes to smoke one. So try to burn like maybe 6 or 8 minutes.
Yep, I can do that. Yeah, I got 3 of them. Right, I can do back to back.
Awesome.
All right, here, let me present.
See y'all in a few.
Got a black magic woman. I got a black magic woman. I got a black magic woman. Got me so blind I can't see. But she's a black magic woman. She's trying to make the devil out of me. Turn your back on me, baby. Don't turn your back on me, baby. Yes, don't turn your back on me, baby. Stop messing around with those tricks. Don't turn your back on me, baby. You just might become a magic tricks. You got your spell on me, baby. You got your spell on me, baby. Yes, you got your spell on me, baby. Turning my heart into stone. I need you so bad, magic woman. I can't leave you alone. down. Over in the sky, what is gold? In the child in my heart, rise above. Can I sail through the changing ocean tide? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I don't know. I'm afraid of changing the time that I'm but time makes you older, children get older. I'm older too. So I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you older, children get older, I'm older too. I'm getting older too. So take it slow, take it down. Oh, if you climb a mountain and you turn around, if you see my reflection, so hills, the landslide bring down, down. And if you see my reflection, so covered in hills, well, maybe that's why I bring it down. Oh, that's why I bring it down.
All right, we got Mr. Superback, or we still need another
Nice.
minute? I got one more. We can. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite ones. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, play one more.
Yeah, there was like that one. What was it? Oh, this one.
Everywhere that we go, everywhere the rains came, down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and jumping, dancing, skipping and jumping, in the misty morning fall, our hearts keep on playing with you, my brown-eyed girl. My brown-eyed girl, whatever happened? Tuesday is so slow, going down the old mine, transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding behind the rainbow wall, slipping and sliding
all alone, wanna fall with you, my brown-eyed girl. You're my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing sha la 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 sha la 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 dee da. So hard to find my way now that I'm on my own. Soft as the other day, my youth have grown. Cast my memories back there, Lord. Sometimes overcome thinking about making love in the green grass behind to stay young with you, my brown-eyed girl. You're my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing sha la 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 sha la 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 sha la 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 sha la 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 da la dee da. Woohoo!
All right, that was awesome.
That was fun.
Yeah, I tried to pick a couple that had different instruments since you were, showcasing a bunch of different instruments. But who was that? Who was that was singing on the last one?
That was me.
That was you singing?
Brown-eyed girl, yeah, oh yeah. Everything
Yeah,
on that was. Every single part of that was me. There's no backing at all.
Wow, that didn't sound like you. Like it sounded different. Like I heard the harmonica and I thought that was you, and like you had a buddy singing with you or something. But that's that's cool.
There's like 4 or 5 tracks. I've got like ukulele, harmonica, my vocals, and something else. There's melodica or something else in there. But for all of my videos that I post, if you go to the description underneath the video, it will tell like whose channel I mixed with. It'll give a link to their channel if there is such a thing. It'll tell what instruments and what keys, so that if you want to play along or whatever, it's all there right from the very start of my channel. I did that with all my videos that I could. So always check my descriptions. If you're trying to learn music or you want to play along with some of my stuff or whatever, feel free to use my stuff in any way. I do not believe in copyright. If it's out there, then it's shared. Period.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy. I like that. All right. So here, real quick before we get back into the instruments, I'm do another quick shout out because there are a lot of people who've shown up.
Yeah, we got a lot of people.
We end up losing people. And, so yeah, let me scroll back up as far at the top. So if you didn't hear your name, I guess we didn't lose any. So we'll just go ahead and start. And if you haven't spoken in a minute, say hi and we'll call you out.
As you're looking through the chat there, calling people out, look for anything in all caps where people might have posted a question for me, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I haven't seen any. I've been looking, but I haven't seen any questions. Just a bunch of compliments about how much everybody loves Mr. Super Sidewinder.
Oh man, awesome.
So, yeah, let's see. Start here with we got Pushing Buttons, Chicago Cubby Bear, DeWitt Straight Laces, Rebecca 345, Lugnut Lori. I know I've seen a couple of new ones in here. Stinky N, Noel.
Nice.
Or Jax. Pushing Buttons. Ragamuffin Vision. That's a new one.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
thanks for
he's
being
a
here,
friend of
guys.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Splatter 420. I seen him pop in
Good.
earlier, so that was cool. Flat Earth Andy.
Oh, good. Nice.
I think we said Ry Russ.
Oh, Ryrush, yeah. I saw him in there earlier.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he's been.
Thank you
he's
so
been
much
here the
for
whole
coming,
time.
guys. I really appreciate you looking in. Like I said, music is a higher-minded topic. Really, like it's a lifetime deep if you really want to take it seriously. If you want to have fun with it, it doesn't need to be that complicated. You just need to really take that first step and commit to learning, and try to take my advice. If you're going to learn one instrument, take that same block of time, whether you're going to try it for 2 months, 6 months, or a year, and don't pigeonhole yourself into one instrument. Get 2 or 3, expose yourself, like submerge yourself in the things that you really enjoy. And in the end, so what? If you spend $100 on 3 different instruments and you only really gravitate to one, put the other 2 on the coffee table. Don't put them in the closet. Let everybody else try them. And if you have somebody come over and they love an instrument that you're never going to play again, let them have it.
That sounds like some great advice. So here, finish up real quick. We got Brad and Tasha, Tiny Squish, Sarah Pagey, and I think that's everybody. I'm gonna get down here to the bottom, make sure anybody didn't pop in at the last
That's
second.
my
Jennifer.
Squishy.
Yeah, Squishy is here.
She's so cool.
Yeah, I like Squish. I'm trying to get her to come on and to talk to me about, because she likes the she said she likes the real life crime drama stuff, and she was following the whole situation with my mom and dating that guy in prison, and watching those videos. So I'm working on her to get to to get her to come on and talk to me and see if she has any clues that I can find out about. We can find out about this guy. But yeah, that looks like everybody. But yeah.
I find that so many of the people, as I get to know these people in chat, a lot of them I have personal relationships. We either exchange emails or texts, or we talk on the phone, or those sorts of things. Like, the more I get to know the group of people that are in this chat, the smarter I realize that all of them are. You are all very gifted people. We've all come together here for a reason, and I don't mean necessarily just for this particular stream, but on higher-minded streams where we're sharing ideas and we're all searching for answers, we all have pieces. So I would encourage everybody that's been watching these sorts of shows, like here and with Sandy and with some of the other people that are sharing in this community, have the courage to come on and introduce yourself and talk with us and share the pieces that you might have and ask the questions. And I know for some people, they really get nervous. Like I said, this was the first stream I got nervous about for years. I've been doing this and I never got nervous about a stream. This one made me nervous. But I don't feel nervous now. Like, I feel relaxed. I know that I'm among friends, and really the only people that would stay this long in a stream are people that have either some interest in music or they really like us. And either way, thank you so much for coming today.
Yep, I agree 100%. The chat in this community is the best.
Amazing.
And I at first I thought it was just Sandy's chat, but then then the communities kind of started merging with Boston Ray's chat. Started coming over, and like Spaced Out Radio people, and
Right.
and all your people, and like it doesn't matter really what community, from what I've seen so far, that has merged in with us, or we've merged in with them. They're all awesome, whether they're from yours or Sandy's or Ray's or whoever, anybody who, So yeah, so I agree, it's 100%. I love this community. And,
I love them all.
Yeah.
I do. I love everybody here in chat.
Yep.
So we didn't
Johnson
have any
jumped in.
trouble at all
So.
burning an hour. Like, we could do this for another couple
No,
of
not at
hours.
Yeah, right. Well,
Very cool.
When we talked the first time, we were met in StreamYard. We were like, let's just talk for like 20 minutes, half hour, and get some ideas for the show, and that ended up lasting 2 hours or something. So
Yeah, and at the end of it, you said, "Man, we should have recorded this. It could have been the show." Like,
exactly.
but when we talk backstage, like we're able to really kind of let our guard down, and we got to know each other. We spent, well, I don't know, yeah, over an hour just spitballing and really getting to know each other on a deeper level and whatnot. And you know, like I really appreciate that
Yeah.
time. But not everything is to be shared publicly or not all in
I
one
gotcha.
dose. Like I kind of dumped on you the other night. I'm like, hey, you want to get to know me? Here it is. Blam.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I totally did. I'm glad that was a great discussion. Oh, yeah, I said Sandy. All right. Mhm.
And I don't want to say who, but I had a conversation with one of the people in chat here today, and we were going to talk for like, you know, a short period of time, just kind of touch bases a little bit, and that ended up going for hours. And when we hung up, we both felt the same way. Like I could talk to you for like days. Like we never run out of ideas. We're spitballing, and you know, we're free to explore ideas without thinking you're going to offend the other person. There are questions like if you ask certain people these higher minded questions, they clam up or they get angry with you or whatever. You know, it's nice to be able to talk to people where you can let your guard down and you can ask those bigger questions and get an honest answer. So thank you. You know who you are.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Right.
So if we're ready to wrap this up, I'll turn my camera back on and we're going to go into stringed instruments for a few minutes, and then we'll close tonight with my favorite instrument. And for those of you who don't know, my roots, really like my passion, is harmonicas. Absolutely love them. So we're going to close on harmonicas tonight, but for a moment we're going to explore stringed instruments. We're going to look at ukuleles, which I think, in my opinion, are the most approachable of stringed instruments. You can literally play songs on a ukulele after 1 week of serious study. So that's 10 minutes a day for a full week. By the end of that week, you will be able to play full songs. And I can help you get there. And anybody who does take any of my advice here tonight and goes on to play musical instruments, I would be happy to help you in your journey any way that I could, including mixing stuff for you or mixing with you, or advice on which instruments to choose if you're choosing between several, and the reasons why, and those sorts of things. So I am available like ongoing. If you choose to take this path and you want to learn something about music, I will do everything I can to help you get started. So the first one that I want to show you is a tenor. And tenor refers to the size of these ukuleles. There are four. I don't know. Here, help me get this centered so that people can see it before I just talk over everything here.
All right. Yeah, a little bit higher. There you go.
Okay, so this is the whole instrument. I'm trying to give it to you, and I can't fit it all in one frame, so I'll just kind of scroll by it a little bit.
Yeah.
Very much like a little guitar. This one has the little cutaway so that you can reach the higher frets easier. So that's what a cutaway shape in a guitar or ukulele is for, so that your hand can slide farther down and reach these higher frets. So this is a cutaway tenor sized ukulele. That's all right. And so, like I was starting to say, there are four different sizes of popular ukuleles. This is the largest of the small variety, if that makes any sense. There are two versions that are smaller than this one. This is a tenor, the next one down is a concert, and the next one down is a soprano. But oddly enough, unlike what we saw in recorders where the pitch is different for each one, all of those sizes that I just listed, the smaller ukuleles, are exactly the same pitch and tuning and everything. All that happens is the scale length gets shortened. So like on a soprano, you'll only have this number of frets, the first 12. Right? And then on a concert, you might have 14, 15. And then on a tenor, you're going to get 17. So you've just got more notes to work with. It makes the whole instrument a little bit larger. As it gets longer this way, it also gets like a larger body. If you have a large body, large hands, long arms, tenor is probably the way to go. If you're really small frames, you have tiny fingers, you might want to go the other way and go all the way to the smallest one, which is a soprano. And if you're somewhere in between those two sizes, a concert. And like I said, all of those, they take different strings when you replace the strings. You want to get the strings that will work on that size instrument. But they're all tuned exactly the same. So why do I say ukuleles are like the ultimate instrument to learn on? Because when you go to stringed instruments, they're very, very hard to learn. And if you start on a guitar, because that's where you want to go, you're dealing with 6 strings and you've only got 4 fingers. So like having to deal with those extra 2 strings is a thing. It's a problem. And on guitars, the highest pitched strings, which are the ones closest to the floor, regardless if you're right or left-handed, on a guitar, these upper strings are very tiny. They cut into your fingertips. So like you have to build up calluses and get used to the pain of pressing down on these strings. And I think a lot of people give up guitar because while they're wanting to have fun, it's causing pain, and that doesn't work together, right? You need to be able to learn without pain.
Yep.
And so everything that you learn on a ukulele will transfer to guitars. And better if you go to the next size, which we're going to show in a minute, a baritone ukulele, because it's tuned the same as guitar. These are basically like a subset of guitar. Like if you put a capo on a guitar, at the 5th fret you would be starting where this ukulele starts. So it's all higher pitched, but the shapes that you'll learn to play different chords will apply across all of these different instruments. So as you get used to forming the different shapes that form chords, all of that knowledge will apply. So if your goal is to learn guitar, I would start with the ukulele. I think your success rate will be much higher. I think your point of entry will be much lower. So if you want a high quality guitar, you can get some decent guitars in the $200 price range, but really people that take guitar seriously, they're $500 or $600. And you can get a very high quality baritone ukulele for $150 with a built-in tuner, with a built-in pickup system, and all of that nonsense. And those are tuned the same as guitar, so everything you learn on a baritone will transfer to guitar. So if guitar is your goal, start with the baritone ukulele. When you've mastered it, move up to guitar, and all you're adding is 2 strings and all the shapes apply. And then you could sell that ukulele, give it down to a younger person in the family, put it on the coffee table with your other coffee table instruments, whatever. It all applies, right? So the one thing that's kind of strange about ukuleles in the smaller sizes, and again we're going to get to baritones in a minute, is they have a strange tuning system called reentrant. And what that means is that normally the string that's closest to your nose is the highest numbered string, so they're numbered from the floor up. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And generally that 4th string, or the lowest what do I want to say, the lowest pitch string, is normally the closest one to you. And ukuleles, the standard tuning on a ukulele is not that way. It's reentrant. So this is a high note followed by a low note, and then it goes back up. So the reentrant is because this is not a bass string. This string that's closest to you is only 2 notes away from your highest string. So they're almost the same. This string that you would normally think of as a bass string on a guitar or a baritone ukulele is a higher pitched, and it makes things a little bit different in your playing style. It doesn't really change the chord shapes and that sort of thing, but it gives the ukulele that happy, bright sound that makes everybody smile.
Nice.
So
So, hey,
this-
I got a question for you then.
Sure.
You say on the ukulele there's 4 strings, and on a
Yep.
guitar there's generally 6.
Yes.
And so the deepest, the thickest string is the deepest sound,
the
right?
lowest
So
note. Yup.
so you
Deepest, warmest sound.
so it
Yup.
doesn't have I remember the ones like I tried guitar when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and like the high notes were like that super thin string, like kind of like fishing
Right.
wire almost, like not
Yeah.
quite, but
Yeah.
then on the other end was like that like tight wound, like it was like looked like cord like wrapped. It was like real thick.
That's exactly
so the
what they are.
ukuleles don't have
They're-
those.
actually, if you look at the breakdown of those strings, they have a very fine core. Like the fatter strings are actually like the finer strings, and then they're wrapped. So they're called
Yeah,
wire
right.
wound strings. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but just to clarify that they're wire wound strings. The heavier strings are the lower pitch, and they're generally the ones closest to your nose as you're playing.
Right. Yeah. So my question was the ukulele doesn't have those wire wound strings.
When I show you the baritone, which is just coming up here
Oh.
next, it does have 2 nylon and 2 wire wound strings, so it's a mix.
Uh,
The fatter strings
So I
are
got ahead
wire
of you.
wound, and the higher ones are nylon. Yeah, and on all of the smaller ones, you're going to find all nylon strings. Different types of nylon, but they're all going to be nylon strings. So nylon strings
yeah.
are easier to press.
Yeah, they hurt less.
They hurt less, and there's more spacing between each of the strings too. Things get a little crowded on guitar where you've really got room for all your fingers on a ukulele. Even the smaller ukuleles, just that extra spacing between each string or string pair is very helpful for that sort of thing. But generally, like ukuleles just make people feel happy. It's hard to play a ukulele and not feel happy. Even if you're playing a sad song, there's something very special about ukuleles, especially these smaller 3 sizes that we're talking about here. So again, just to wrap that up, these are available in soprano, concert, and tenor, which are all the same pitch, just different scale lengths. You have more notes available on the tenor, bigger body, better for bigger hands, and then the smaller ones all the way down to the soprano, opposite. Smaller hands, smaller body, soprano.
Nice. Looks like Joe
So
King
just-
Explores the Realm made it in too. Sorry.
Oh, good deal.
Just wanted to say hi.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome, Joe. Yeah.
He's one that I would like to have do a show here, and Rebecca 444
Oh, right.
or 345 should maybe be our next guest.
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody's welcome. So yeah, if you got an interesting topic, let me know.
So here's the next size, and this is a baritone ukulele. It's almost more thought of as a miniature guitar. It blurs the line because there are some really small guitars, like parlor-sized guitars, that are almost like the same as this. So it's a familiar, comfortable size. Again, this one has 4, like the parlor-sized guitar would be this same size, but with 6 strings. I think this is a better place to start for the same reasons, 4 strings. On this one, this is like what we were just talking about. These 2 strings, you can probably hear that wire wound sound that
Oh,
you
yeah.
get when you slide your fingers, right?
Exactly.
So you get that kind of guitar squeakiness as you slide along these 2 strings, and then the highest 2 strings are nylon. So if you come from like the tenors and you go to the baritone, those first 2 strings feel like home, and then you start getting used to the wire wound strings and you're better prepared for guitar. And it has a warmer sound, and the string closest to you is a lower pitch like on a guitar. So these are tuned to DGBE, which is the same as the first 4 strings on a guitar. And like I said, any of the shapes that you learn here will apply directly to guitar. So the same thing that I was playing before on a baritone will just sound warmer. Beautiful little instrument. This is acacia wood, laminated, so it's not going to dry out and crack. You don't have to keep it in a case and keep humidity on it and those sorts of things. Built-in tuner, built-in preamp. You can adjust the low, medium, and high, and the volume here on the little controller. The little jack where you can plug it in here on the bottom.
So the
Just a
acacia wood,
beautiful
does
little
that seems to be like I've heard you say that with the I think it was the little smaller one that you like that same wood. Does the type of wood make any difference on the sound and stuff like that?
I
The
don't.
quality of the
I don't subscribe to that. They classify that as tone woods, and they say certain woods have better tones. Really, the only place I think that tone woods come into play really is like on high quality guitars. And generally, it's not exotic woods that make the best sounds there. It's spruce of all things tends to make the best sounding top on a quality acoustic guitar. So even the really expensive ones that have expensive woods on the sides and back typically have a spruce front for that acoustic tone wood thing. But beyond that, I don't notice, like, I don't think you could do a blind test between a quality tone wood and a laminated and honestly have anybody tell you in a blind test which was which. I just don't think that's a thing. So that baritone that I was just showing is it's an acacia wood, but it's a laminate, so it's just a veneer of acacia wood over more stable woods underneath it. And the difference is
I
there,
gotcha.
you know, like that kalimba that I showed you that dried and cracked and those sorts of things. When you have a high quality instrument that is made of tone woods, you really have to keep it in a humidity controlled environment, and that might include keeping it in a case with some humidity buttons, but you want to monitor that sort of thing, or in a room that's temperature controlled with humidity controls, and it's just too much to maintain. And like this whole stream is about quality, inexpensive instruments, low maintenance, accessibility, things that you can play and not have to go through all of that worry and care. If I gave you two instruments, Josh, and one of them cost $100 and it sounded great, and one of them cost $3,000 and it sounded great, you'd be less likely to pick up the expensive one because you'd be afraid, you know, like I got to wash my hands first, and I want to have a clean environment. I want to make sure there's no cats or kids around, blah, blah, blah. And you would talk yourself out of playing it, where the $100 one would be sitting in the corner, getting dust on it, and you wouldn't care, and you'd pick it up and actually play it. So accessibility trumps value, in my opinion. If you're not going to play it because it's too expensive, then you've bought the wrong instrument.
Yeah, right. There's no
Simple as
value
that.
in it, even though, yeah, it could be
You know,
$1,000, but if you don't play it, then it's not. Yeah,
yeah, if you only
I
see
get
it
you.
twice a year because it has to live in a humidity controlled case and it's behind the coats in the third closet, you know, you're just not going to play it. You're not. If you
Yeah.
can't make it like right in your face, like, oh yeah, I know I should play it because it's sitting right there, you will pick it up, right? But if you got to go dig it out of a case and set up the environment and lock the door and all, you're not going to do it, dude. I'm telling you, you're not going to do it regularly enough to develop the skills you're after. And if really honestly, like, it would be better to take that $100 instrument, play it every day until it's trash, and then buy an expensive one, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds like a better plan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So that covered stringed instruments. Unless anybody has any questions, I just wanted to show you kind of a couple varieties and choices, and I didn't really kind of go over prices. The little ukulele I showed you was a nicer one. I spent like $200 on, but they average between $100 and $200. And then the baritone that I showed you, that is caramel. And it's the only baritone that I've seen with a truss rod, so you can adjust the neck. If the wood warps or whatever, and the neck changes, you can change the neck so that you can tune it back in, right? So it'll never get scrapped. It can be fixed and adjusted, that sort of thing. So really, I would have thought that would be like a high dollar feature. And they threw it in on this one and kept the price down. So $150 will get you that baritone that I just showed you with a built-in tuner, built-in preamp, truss rod adjustments, open headstock, a case, a neck strap, like everything you need to get started is basically there.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't sound like too much. It sounds pretty easy to get started into it.
Not unreasonable, that's for sure. So I'd like to wrap
Not at
up
all.
this evening with harmonicas. Harmonicas are my true passion. In fact, I started really on trumpet, and I still have and play a trumpet. I didn't include it in our inexpensive, although there are some like student grade trumpets that are really, really nice, and they're in the $150, $200 range. And I really didn't cover like some of the new higher end plastic instruments that are out there, like saxophones and clarinets and trumpets and those sorts of things. You can get plastic versions of these that are very, very high quality, and they fit in that price range, the $150 price range. You can get like a plastic clarinet for $100, and they play like a dream, like a really nice expensive one. The downside is when you do break something on them, like nobody wants to work on them. They're pretty much scrap when you damage them, or you can fix them once and then they'll fall apart the next time. So they're not a lifetime instrument, but if you want to learn how to play a clarinet and you want one in the house, you don't want to rent one or whatever, it's not a bad way to go. If you're not going to abuse it, you'll probably get enough time out of it to learn if you like it or not, and to actually get good at it enough to decide if you want to get a better one. If all that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So don't overlook some of the high quality plastic instruments that are available on the market today, especially if you're looking at getting an expensive version of it. It might be best to start with a plastic one and see if you take it seriously enough to get a real one.
Yeah.
Because if you look at
Or
something
you-
like saxophones can be thousands of dollars because they have so many mechanical parts on them. They just are complicated. They are going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
So I got a question. Would you recommend if somebody wants to get started into but wants a little bit of nicer equipment, looking secondhand, like at thrift stores or yard sales or something like that?
Yeah, I've had good
To
luck
get 'em a little cheaper.
with doing that on guitars. You kind of have to either take somebody who knows, or you have to be able to take it to somebody who does know. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to end up with a lemon or whatever. But if you can play test it and it seems okay, and it's cheap, absolutely. I mean, I know several people that have won, that have come across just absolutely wonderful deals. And like I said, it's worked out for me. I got some really nice guitars that I didn't have to spend much on. So yeah, I would say that's probably a good option. But I would say the better option in most cases is what I just recommended, though. Start with a plastic or an inexpensive version of that instrument, because then you're starting with something new. Even if it's not a pricey thing, it's new and it's under warranty or whatever, so you're going to get a launch out of the start, right? And then you can move that down or sell it off or whatever if you've kept it in good shape, or hand it down within the family or whatever. Keep the thing going, keep the dream going.
Yep.
You know.
Sounds like a
So
great idea.
I'd like to close tonight on harmonicas because that's really where my passion is at. I really spent more time learning and honing my skills on this particular harmonica more than any other instrument that I own. This is a Hohner 10-hole chromatic harmonica. And the chromatic means that there's a little push button here. And the rule is no matter what notes you're playing, if you push this button, it takes that note up a half a pitch. And so that makes every note that I showed you on that melodica available in this instrument, whereas the next type of harmonica that I show you is a diatonic harmonica, and it's the equivalent of a harmonica that would be on the white keys, for instance, in the key of C. All the black notes would not be available. On this one, all the white notes and all the black notes are there. Everything's there. So this is a 10-hole. The more common size for this type of harmonica is a 12-hole, which I have a couple of 12 holes. I also have a 16. I'll show you in just a second here. But I absolutely love some things about harmonica that are unique. For one thing, it's the only wind instrument that I know of that plays a note on the inhale as well as the exhale. So most instruments that you blow into only produce a note when you exhale, nothing when you inhale. These produce a note when you blow and when you inhale. And most wind instruments can only play one note at a time, where a harmonica can play a full chord, single notes, blow and draw, and then those same notes with the slide. So it opens up a lot more possibilities. There are sometimes, like with the diatonic harmonicas, where you need one of those accidentals. You need one black note, and on some of the notes you can bend the pitch a little bit. You can do that more on a diatonic, but to me sometimes they sound fake, they sound pushed or whatever. That's why I gravitated toward chromatic harmonicas, because I'm a melodic player and I want to be able to actually play all the individual notes that I want to. So that opens up that possibility for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this
that's cool.
is
I don't think I've ever
included-
seen that before.
This I
The
included
little,
in
the little
inex-
thing.
the little push button.
Yeah,
the
right.
slide?
Yeah, I'd never seen that before in a Yeah.
Yeah. So I included this in the inexpensive instrument category because you can get these as cheap as $40 or $50. There are some, like I can't think of what the manufacturer is, but there's a Forerunner. So I'll play a low note for you, and I'll alternate between blow and draw. And if you listen real closely, you can hear a little bit of a flap. It's like a valve closing. Pop, 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 pop. You hear just a little slap, and then the note comes out. So there are little valves in here that close off the reed that's not being played. So you've got a blow and a draw reed in the same hole, right? So you don't want air leaking around the draw reed when you're playing the blow reed, so a valve closes, and the opposite too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these valves, like on the lower holes, you can hear them slapping. You learn how to play so that other people don't hear that when you're actually playing music. I'm accentuating it so that you can hear the valves in this thing. But like that Forerunner that I mentioned is a valveless chromatic harmonica. It's not really considered like pro because you need the valves to get really super clean, airtight notes and bending and those sorts of things, but they're more accessible. The valves, being that they aren't there, you don't have some of the problems associated with valves. Like if you play these instruments cold, when the valve closes, it'll be closing on condensation, and that like sucks it closed like a magnet, right? So then the next time you blow, it pops. Like your pressure builds and then the valve pops and then the note rings out. So they really get bad. So like if you're going to learn chromatics, or you want to try chromatics, I would recommend like that Forerunner valveless harmonica, so you don't have those problems, and then move up to something more pro as you develop. But kind of like where this goes next is this right here. This is like the Cadillac of chromatic harmonicas. I hope that whole thing is fitting on the screen. I know it's really big.
Yeah. Yeah, it's upside down, I
is-
think. But
This is a 16-hole version of the same thing. So this is a chromatic harmonica, but it adds a whole nother lower octave on the bottom. So this one goes really, really low. You can hear the valve slapping in this one too. If I accentuate it, right?
yeah, I can definitely hear it.
But I just wanted to show that, you know, these go into the 200 plus range or whatever, so they're still affordable. I wouldn't really put this in the inexpensive class, but it's worth showing like where these go when if you do take off and want the next step. This is kind of where you end up with a chromatic.
Yeah, yeah. I would have never had any idea that harmonicas could get so complex. You know, because I mean, I remember getting harmonicas in like you know, in the take home bags from like a kid's birthday party when I was 8 years old. You know, the cheap little 30 cent or 10 cent harmonicas
Yeah,
or whatever.
right.
And but I do remember the one thing about those is when I was playing it is that I always thought it was weird that you could make the music blowing out or breathing in, which
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever noticed that with any other instrument.
No,
But I
I
do
don't, I can't
that
think
way
of
that
any other. Yeah, right.
yeah. Yeah, it stuck out in my mind when I was a kid, but I didn't, I'm not very musically inclined, other than listening to it and enjoying it. Uh,
So, so going from that full size monster I just showed you, this is like a much more accessible pocket sized instrument. This is a common harmonica, also known as a diatonic harmonica. Again, this would be equivalent to like all the white keys on the keyboard. And that's just like in reference because these each one is good for basically one key, right? So this is a key of C harmonica. It'd be like all the white keys, but then I could pull out a D harmonica and it would have two sharps in it and that sort of thing. So it's not always just the white keys, but it's the 7 notes that make up that major scale that we started with, the do re mi scale, right?
yeah.
This particular one is a Hohner Special 20. This is probably one of the best harmonicas to start with. If you've never played harmonica and you have an interest in them, they're accessible, affordable. They have a plastic comb that uniquely comes out in front of the case, so really most of what you're touching is the plastic comb in the front. Where, by contrast, I'll show you another one here that's not like this. This is kind of the more standard build of a harmonica. Let's see, here we go. So you can kind of see like this one has a complete plastic face in the front.
Yeah.
Right. This is kind of the more traditional, like a marine band style harmonica. Uh, so when you first start playing harmonica, you're bound to play kind of wet, which means like your mouth isn't used to having metal things shoved in it like this, so you'll drool a lot. You'll be
Uh-huh.
blowing like uh, high humidity and spittle directly into it. Yeah, that sort of thing. So these being the plastic comb, they're really you can kind of wash them out, dry them good afterwards, but you could kind of run these underwater and wash them out. The plastic has less of that contact with your mouth that causes that, so you can kind of play these drier right out of the box. And they're not a starter harmonica by any means. There's a lot of professionals that actually use these, and the price range has really maintained quite reasonable over the years. These are anywhere from $25 to $45 depending on where you shop or how many you buy at a time. So you can buy them one at a time, a group of like 3 at a time, or the whole set, 12 at a time, any way you want to. You get the biggest price breaks, obviously, if you buy a full set of 12 of them
Yeah.
or whatever. And I guess I'll wrap up kind of showing you this. There's like a influx of inexpensive harmonicas. These are all Chinese made, but they are extremely high quality, and they are in that same price range, $25. And they really play like a dream. Let's see if I can get this up here.
A little higher.
Show.
Yeah.
There we go. So these generally come in
Yeah.
like a blue painted finish. This one's black. Like it's hard to like when you want to order these. If you wanted to get them all in black, that's kind of hard to do. And if you buy a whole set of 12 of these, they'll probably be the blue ones. But they're all built the same. They have really thick replates, so they sound really warm. This one is in E flat, so like I said, they're all in different keys. But just an absolute beautiful starter instrument for 25 bucks. And again, like I don't treat any of these like they're starter instruments or child's instruments or whatever. A lot of professionals are going to these. This is a T1008 made by Easttop. And you can find them all over Amazon and eBay. I will say it's hard to find these by key on Amazon. Like if you wanted to get one in a particular key, you're probably going to have to shop on like eBay or Etsy or someplace like that. Amazon, you can get them in starter keys like the key of C. But if you need special exotic keys or you're trying to complete a set or whatever, Amazon is a difficult place to shop for them.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Amazon, but I'll go there if I have to.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are anymore. So that's
Yeah.
it. Unless anybody has any questions, that's kind of a wrap here for me.
Yeah. Well, here, let me scroll through real quick, and I don't see anything in big caps, but yeah, I just a lot of great discussion in the chat for sure. Talking about all kinds of different topics, and but yeah, everybody seems to love you, Mr. Super. So thanks again for being here. This was an awesome show. Like I learned a ton because, like I said, I had very elementary knowledge of any kind of
It's-
music and just basic stuff. So
It's kind of funny because we both knew you were going to learn a lot. Like I knew you were coming into it open-minded, and you're like, "Oh, I can't wait to learn some of this stuff and how it might apply, and I might have an interest in some of it after I look at all the information." And I just want to apologize again to the chat. I'm sorry I wasn't able to engage you in the chat at all. When I started into StreamYard here tonight, it's got a join the chat at the bottom, so I can't even type in chat. And if I go through that join the chat, it kicks me out and relogs me back in. And things were too tight for us to do that. We got our settings perfect, and we had to roll. So I apologize for not directly engaging in chat, but I had my hands full. I wasn't able to even see the chat, so I'll go back and watch the stream after. And bless you all for coming tonight. I hope the majority of us are going to Sandy's after this, right?
yeah, that was the plan. But Sandy just put a message in there and said she's probably got about another hour before she's up and ready. So, but we did get a question in all caps from Pushing Buttons, and it said, "Where did Mr. Super Sidewinder get his coolness?" You got any idea about that?
I don't have an answer.
But that's a great question.
That's
I would be
subjective,
interested
so
in that
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if you figure it out, you let me know because I want some of your coolness.
Oh yeah, dude. It'll be the first one. I'll call you in the middle of the night and say, "Dude, I figured it out. It was right here in the closet the whole time, dude."
Yeah, right. Just keeping it to yourself. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's cool. You want to finish off with a couple more, like another song or two, and then
Oh, that'd be awesome.
give everybody a little
There's
break.
I kind of wanted to show a tongue drum too because I got a really nice 15-note tongue drum in the $75 price range, but I frankly ran out of room around me to set things like that up, and it would have been hard to get the camera angles in any useful way. So I think I'll skip that. But if you don't mind playing one from my channel that showcases the handpan. Now that's not an entry-level instrument in my opinion. They tend to be expensive. But if you really like music and you kind of like what the handpans and tongue drums sound like, there's a variety of them to choose from. Andy played a lot of them. Like Three Bells is nice. There's another couple ones. There's one where Sis and I play. It's called Me and Sis Exploring Handpan. Any of the handpans would be cool.
All right, yeah.
That three bells is my favorite, and if you don't see it real quickly, I can go and grab a link and drop it in private, whichever you prefer.
Okay, yeah, Me and Sis Exploring Handpan. Yeah, I got. Yeah,
Yeah,
I found
that'll
that
work. Yep.
Oh yeah, I watched this one. Yeah, I seen this one. I love the sound of this thing. Uh, and you did great with the editing with the putting in the video and stuff in the background of you playing it. Yeah, I like this
Yeah,
one.
cool.
Uh, cool. All right. Well, yeah, I just want to say real quick, I seen Sag Arm Mandela Effect made it in. Uh, so I just want to say hi to him. But yeah, thank you again for being here. It was a wonderful show. Like I had so much fun. I learned a lot. Thank everybody in the chat for being here. And trying to get you warmed up and you guys can make it over to Sandy's show. And
Hmm.
like I said, the whole purpose of this show is to bring you guys on. If you have something to say, something to share, something you want to talk about, it can be any. It doesn't have to be conspiracy or Mandela or but it could be anything that you want. Just like we've got music tonight. It could be aliens tomorrow. It could be anything.
Hmm.
So yeah, so please hit me up. I'll put my I'm pretty sure my email is in the description and my Facebook. A couple ways to contact me. So you got any ideas you want to talk about? And the last thing I guess is speaking of Sagar Mandela Effect. I believe he is going to be our next in the next show. Talking to him. I haven't got nailed down the actual topic that he wants to talk about, but so stay tuned for that. As soon as we get that scheduled, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, thanks again to all the chat, and I apologize for not being as active in the chat, but I'm still learning this whole thing too. So I appreciate you being here, Mr. Super, and we'll close out with a song or two from here, and let me see, let me get this presenting.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Jose, glad to see you. Pushing buttons. Rebecca, Squishy. I'm honored that you people showed up for us. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. Like, I mean, it's amazing to think that just 2 weeks ago is when I had this idea for the show, maybe 3 weeks ago, and the first two shows were such a success for me,
Right.
and it's just amazing. I can't believe this has exploded so quick, and I got a couple more ideas for people showed up for shows lined up. So yeah, so it's amazing, and I appreciate I wouldn't be here talking without you guys, you Mr. Super and Sandy and Sag Arm and Squish and Pushing Buttons and everybody in the chat and all everybody so it's all here. I'm here because of you guys. So let me know what your
And
next topic
Rebecca
you want to
coming
talk
up
about.
soon. Yes, she's on the
And
schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. Yeah, we got to get that nailed down too. So that'll be a super fun one.
Yeah.
I'll probably learn more about that one. Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna learn from
'cause
these.
that one's personal to me.
For a brand new show, like we need everybody's help here. Not only showing up, but sharing, coming. Stepping out of your comfort zone, bring something forward, share your pieces, be
Right.
loving,
And
be
and
kind.
I'm trying. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to make it like a laid back, easy, comfortable show. And like, I'm so glad that you said that you were nervous at first, which I find that kind of humorous that you were nervous coming in to talk to
I know,
me.
I get
Like
it.
I should have been the one
Yeah.
that was nervous, but anyway, but the fact that you said you were comfortable afterwards, because it's awesome. That's how I want everybody to come on and be comfortable and not be nervous. And because I just got over that nervousness of being online and talking live to people just recently, within the last couple months. So uh, I just want to make this an open environment and welcoming community to come and speak your mind and don't have to worry about judgment and that sort of thing. So
Bless you, Josh.
mm,
Thank you for doing this and giving like a forum, a new, fresh forum with a higher-minded outlook to bring some of these things forward. It means a lot. It means a lot, not just to me, but to the entire community. You'll see in time. That's why it's taking off like it is, because we needed this.
yeah, well, I appreciate it and I'm having fun doing it and I'm motivated to to do it. I do it every single night. If I had a guest lined up, I'd do it 7 days a week. But until that happens, we'll go once or twice a week. and go from there. So sounds good.
All righty.
Uh,
Close
thanks
out with
again
a couple of
Yep,
songs.
thanks for
Thank you again to you, Josh, and
Yep,
to everybody.
awesome. Yep, no problem. All right, everybody have a good night. We'll see you over on Sandy's channel. I'll post a link in my community page as soon as she gets the show up live and we know exactly what time it is. But in the meantime, yeah, get some snacks and get ready for Sandy's show here in maybe hopefully half hour, hour or so.
Feel free to play more than one. If you want to play 2 or 3 songs on the way out, that'd be great. Like the more the merrier.
Okay,
you got
yeah,
time,
I could sit here
might as well.
and veg on your music all night long. So
Well, I like to hear
sounds good
that.
to me.
Yeah, let's do. I mean, it's a music stream. We might as well close with some quality music because, like the samples that I gave tonight were just to showcase the instruments, not to play songs. But we can do that sometime in the future too. So bless you all.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next one. That one was awesome. I love that. I love that instrument. Oh, here's another tongue drum. I think is let's do this one. All right, sorry, I was muted. We're gonna do one more song here real quick. I love this song, and I remember uh, watching this or seeing this when we did it a while back, 11 months ago. But yeah, this is an awesome one. And thanks again, everybody, for being here. Special super thanks to Mr. Super for being here and sharing some of his knowledge with us. And I appreciate you, and I don't know how long the chat will stay up, but I will. If Sandy gets her show up, I'll put a link in it before the chat cuts out, and I'll see you guys all over there. With my friend Sandy Diva
Thank you for having me. We're excited that you're doing this.
and Splatter
Total mockery. They could tell people whatever they want.
and Sapphic Arm.
Jose.
It's been so long.
Jose,
well, yeah, right.
hang on.
Okay.
Here to with me, your first show here with me.
That's my name. Don't wear it out. But yeah, thank you for inviting me.
And welcome to
You
the
know,
show.
You know what got me watching the moon? It's coming out in the daytime. My lady said, "It's like, why is the moon out in the daytime?"
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
like that the community's all split up. We're on the same team. You know what I'm saying? I just wish we all
Yeah,
acted
well,
like we were on the same team.
I've been in the Mandela effect since 2017.
So I remember Pluto being a planet.
Who's going to see anything that's 500 light years away? Get the fuck out of here.
Picture phone, 1964. Who remembers, if you were around in 1964, ever having a picture phone?
Everybody's splitting away and everybody's quitting.
And I've been searching and, looking.
I think it'd just be great if people put those things aside and just, we all work together. I think it'd be better.
It really all started with me finding my personal Mandelas and not just finding it on the internet. I just love it so much. Like, I've been so engrossed since the day that I discovered it. I just want to share the message. Ever seen the moon in the daytime? It was not a normal thing.
But I'm backstage.
You're not backstage. I'm talking to you.
I know, but I'm backstage as well.
I just started making videos about it. Like, I don't remember it changing that much. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
It's one bourbon and one something and one beer.
A super treat for me because this is your premiere and it's a big step. What we're trying to develop on with this new community, we're trying to bring them back together. And yeah, well, I'm surprised you kept going because there was nobody making videos. Nobody's making videos. Nobody's making shows anymore. So this is kind of a step forward.
We're all Mandela affected. And that's what should matter.
So yeah,
So now we can see the moon in the daytime.
appreciate
Wow.
you guys being here to help me out and figure this all out.
We didn't know where to go, so
Oh, there's two of you?
Oh, Mandela going mainstream.
I'm not here.
You are here.
You're here. You're on
I'm
the
so
stage now, but
confused.
Weird.
We're all Mandela affected. And that's what should matter.